We did not leave Iraq because we were Zionists. We left because we were no longer safe.
You are failing to comprehend a very important reason why I brought up Avi Shlaim, by the way. And here's
because you think he supports your claim, but he absolutely does not.
No,
that's why, because you're a fucking liar.
He absolutely does.
Contend with what I said.
On, let me explain.
No. Contend with what I'm saying. He said we did not leave Iraq because we were Zionists. We left because we were no longer safe. Do you want to explain what he meant by that? Explain what he meant by saying we didn't leave because we were Zionists. We left because we were no longer safe.
Okay,
Explain to me.
I can't wait to bring up Avi Shlaim on the broadcast to make you fucking look like a dumbass.
I can't wait too. And now explain what he means by that. We did not leave Iraq because we were Zionists. We left because we were no longer safe.
Are not Palestinian. You fucking moron. You racist piece of shit. Because Iraq and the pan-Arabic nationalist movement that arise out of Zionist
You are out of your mind.
Cook him.
Okay, so what did the Jews in Iraq have to do with fucking Israel? You bigot. You are so out of your mind.
Iraqis.
Dude, you screaming and grandstanding doesn't mean you're right.
Iraqi government's racism during the pan-Arabic nationalist movements as a vindication for why, or a comparison as to why Israel had to do the Nakba.
Do you think
fucking dumbass?
Piece of shit.
Thanks.
Do you think all Arabs have one fucking mind? Is that what you think?
Why the fuck were the Iraqi Jews leaving Iraq in fear?
Of course there were Iraqi Jews that left Iraq in fear.
Because why? Because why? Answer the question. You want to call me racist? Why were Iraqi Jews leaving to go to Israel?
You're a fucking moron who doesn't understand.
That's why they left. They left because I'm a fucking moron.
That Arabs are not one-minded.
Hasan, you coward.
That there were numerous pan-Arabic nationalist movements.
Answer the question. You're going to call me racist, but you won't answer. Why did the Iraqi Jews leave Iraq?
There were numerous reasons.
Because of anti-Semitism. They hated Jewish people that had nothing to do with Israel. They were forced to leave. They were chased out.
Time to shut. Get him. Get him. Oh my God. Now what's going on with the internet?
You're not initially.
So it was their. So you're blaming them? Are you blaming the Iraqi Jews who had nothing to do with it? What the fuck is your point? You call me racist.
I'm not justifying the racism. I'm not justifying it. You're not comprehending my point.
Yes, you are. They
I've
left
never justified that.
because Iraq turned on them after 1948.
Ethan,
you're materially wrong. You're a liar.
That there were numerous reasons why other countries. I know, hard concept. All Arab. They all have the same mindset.
I know. Let's go over them, genius.
Nationalist movements as states were being
Let's go over them. In Egypt.
Mostly by Western nations.
You want to talk facts? Let's talk facts.
Ethan, you don't know.
In Egypt.
You got fucking a chat GPT summary. Let me explain to you.
Hey, Hasan,
so you can fucking not look like a dumbass.
Okay, do you want to listen or do you just want to add home?
No, I want to tell you my perspective.
No, you want to talk. That's the problem. You don't want to listen. You've talked plenty.
My perspective.
You called me racist, bro. The least you could do is shut the fuck up and listen to me talk, okay? The Iraqi Jews left because they were in fear of anti-Semitism. They had nothing to do with Israel or Zionism. The Arabs in Iraq, the Iraqis, turned on them because of what happened in the war in 1948. That had nothing to do with them. So if you want to blame the Jews for their own anti-Semitism, you go right ahead, but that's racism. Now let's talk about Egypt.
I recognize that.
No, you're not. You are absolutely not. In Egypt, 75,000 Jews were displaced. Okay?
Ethan,
following anti-Jewish riots and bombs in Egypt.
Palestinians? Is Egypt Palestinians? Is Iraq Palestinians? Why were the Palestinians never allowed to return?
It's got nothing to do with that. They were forced to go there by the Arab countries.
Offered the Jews that were expelled or left on their own voluntarily.
It's time to listen, Hasan.
These are completely separate countries.
Nobody's justifying the Nakba. No one is justifying the Nakba. I'm explaining how it's fucking insanely racist to discredit the plight, the running of discrimination.
I don't discredit the plight.
But I'm not justifying the Nakba. You seem to be justifying why Jews were chased out of their home.
This is why they call Ethan a Zionist, dog.
A point that this is
why did they leave their communities that have been there for 2,000 years, leaving their money, their businesses, their homes? Why did they leave?
Do you think Iraq is Palestine? Do you think Egypt is Palestine?
Nobody's defending the Nakba.
Do you think that all Arabs are operating on antiquated anti-Semitism? And if your answer is yes, why the fuck did Jews find the Ottoman Empire to be a safe haven for fucking hundreds of years?
Where's the Ottoman Empire? Let's talk about the last 100 years.
In Western
That's great.
Europe,
Yeah, the Ottoman Empire was great for the Jews. Let's talk about the last 100 years. Let's talk about 1948. Anti-Jewish riots broke out after the war. Hasan, you need to shut the fuck up and listen, okay?
Oh my God.
After the war, okay, in 1948, there was anti-Jewish riots and bombs in Egypt. Why was that? Because of the Jews? The Jews brought it on themselves? Following the establishment of the Israel...
I never made that inference. What are you talking about?
Of course you did.
No, I didn't. I did not make that inference at all.
So they left because Zionism.
No, Ethan. If you were to listen to my words, and I use them very carefully, even though I get heated sometimes.
Careful, right.
Okay? Egypt, Iraq, Morocco, each of these countries where Jews lived in the MENA region all the way to the Levant had different reasons. Some of them were direct pogroms. Others were
You're a liar.
The colonial.
What the fuck?
You are a tangibly, historically
Do you think that
proven
Do you think
liar.
That Jews,
and
I
feel
said that some of them were because of pogroms. You're not hearing anything I'm saying. You're so conditioned into saying
no,
liar
no.
that you're undermining your own point.
The amount that left because of Zionism was minute. They were chased out.
Ethan.
They were forced to become Zionists by their oppressors because they had nowhere else to go. In Egypt, following the establishment of Israel in May 1948...
Ethan, none of these countries are Palestine.
That
none of these
is
countries,
an insanely irrelevant point. A series of bombs targeted Jewish areas in Cairo between June and September. They killed 70 Jews, injured 200. They confiscated Jewish-owned businesses and synagogues were attacked and destroyed.
Oh my God.
Ethan,
in 1956, the Suez Crisis.
One is direct
1956,
direct planned violence and an extermination campaign. The other
approximately 25,000 Jews were expelled from Egypt.
Falsely misplaced hostility.
25,000 Jews were expelled.
Other countries.
So are you blaming them?
You don't understand this, and you will
Are you
never
blaming the
understand
Jews for getting? Are you blaming the Jews for being expelled from Egypt? 25,000 of them.
No, Ethan. If you listen to my words, you would understand.
So what is it I exaggerated about? 900,000 Jews were displaced.
Because you are making a comparison with different countries
no, I'm not.
versus one singular force that planned an extermination campaign, planned an ethnic cleansing campaign. Other countries and the reaction to it, or other countries and the previous hostility towards Jews have nothing to do with Palestinians. So making this comparison
of course not. That's
is
why it's
gross.
anti-Semitic. That's why it's anti-Semitic. It has nothing to do with Palestine, but they still got kicked out for being Jewish. That's literally what anti-Semitism.
It's like
1,000 Jews in Egypt were arrested and detained without charges. The government seized 500 Jewish-owned businesses and froze bank accounts. Expelled Jews were compelled to sign a declaration donating their property to the Egyptian state and were allowed to take only minimal personal belongings. In Algeria, 130,000 Jews were expelled. On the independence,
that's not Palestine. They're not. They're just
Dude,
Arabs. They're not the same fucking people.
So my point is very simple. They were expelled from their homes because of anti-Semitism.
Ethan, you used Egypt as an example.
What is wrong about that? What is wrong with what I just said? They were expelled.
Were literally controlled
Hasan, please, you've got to fucking
and
answer
French,
a question.
by the English and French colonial
they were
occupations.
Expelled.
What are you talking about?
They were expelled because of anti-Semitism. What did I say wrong?
Oh my God.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
He just doesn't understand.
Algeria was under French occupation. It is the design where the French occupied Algeria did not squash the attempts of expelling Jews. I'm not saying that there wasn't actually
most Algerians were French citizens and went to France.
Caused Jews to feel unsafe, Ethan.
95% of Algeria's 140,000 Jewish population.
Individual, sometimes Western powers and what they allowed in those countries on the Palestinian plight when you make this comparison.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Is it anti-Semitic for Jewish people to get kicked out of their home?
Right? The Turkish, the Ottoman Empire and the forces and the Ottoman genocide that they conducted, a mass extermination campaign, is because other fucking random countries where Armenians
Iraq happened after independence and as a Jerusalem.
Turks were getting dispelled in other countries.
The pogrom happened as a direct
that's the way that it was taught in the past. That it was
By the way, did you
necessary voluntary migration.
By the way, did you? Oh my God, bro! Did you say Anne Frank died before she could resist? I don't know if that was a fever dream.
Wait, I'm saying that would you have an issue with Anne Frank if she actually was able to?
Sorry, I just thought it was an insane thing to say. I'm not trying to litigate it. And Tripoli.
How is that an insane thing to say?
What's your point?
Broke out amid post-war unrest. Synagogues were burned. Jewish institutions were shut down.
What's your point about Anne Frank? Why are you trying to deflect away from what I'm saying here?
That she's... no, I just think that statement was insane. The Six-Day War backlash. In 1967, another Israel victory, Jewish communities got mobbed. 6,000 Jews were evacuated, homes were destroyed, synagogues were burned. In Morocco, 250,000 Jews were expelled. Anti-Jewish riots broke out in 1948. You'll notice all of these, most of these pogroms are happening in 1948 as a direct result of the war. The Arabs turned on their Jewish populace out of anti-Semitism, period, point blank. June 7 to 8, 1948. In northeastern Morocco, following the declaration of the State of Independence, the State of Israel on May 14, 1948, anti-Jewish riots erupted in the town of Jarada. These towns were significant transit points for Moroccan Jews seeking to immigrate. 47 Jews were killed, many were injured, Jewish homes and businesses were looted and destroyed. In 1950-1960, harassment and immigration. The year following 1948 riot, Moroccan Jews faced increased pressure. These factors contributed to a significant immigration of Jews from Morocco. Immigration to Israel was banned in 1959, but before that, 274,000 Moroccan Jews immigrated primarily to Israel. Yemen and Aden.
Remember when you said you weren't a Zionist?
50,000.
Remember when you said you weren't a Zionist? These are direct Zionist talking points.
This is historical facts, literally spread by your very own Avi Schleim, who, if I'll quote him back to you, said, we didn't leave because we were Zionists.
On top of
we did not leave because we were Zionists. We left because we were afraid.
Ethan, that's the difference. If you asked Avi Schleim whether it is comparable to say the Nakba and the 900,000 Jews that...
Who said?
Left
I'm not defending
from
the Nakba.
Separate countries, he would laugh at you.
Your failure to acknowledge the trauma of both groups is the reason why you are a radical fucking propagandist liar. Both trauma needs to be acknowledged by both groups. There's two things that need to be true for this ever to be resolved peacefully.
You're right. I'm sorry.
Palestinian self-determination and the Israelis' right to have secure borders. As long as you ignore that, there will always be war. Palestinians will always die, and you will continue to make money from it.
Yeah, that's some Zionist.
Carpet. Jews were secretly airlifted to Israel due to rising hostility.
It's so
50,000 were relocated. In Tunisia, 130,000 after
the PLO did recognize that, and they wanted those countries to actually do a right to return for all Jews. Why did Israel stop that from happening, Ethan? Don't you think that Zionism is the problem here?
Avi Schleim
what
said,
happened? They didn't fucking send you that clip? They didn't send you that fucking piece of information? So the PLO, Yasser Arafat, the people that don't care about Jewish plight, actually did see wrongdoing.
The guy who oversaw the second Intifada? What the fuck are you on about?
Go back and do a right to return if they wanted to do so into their nation of origin. As a matter of fact,
I'm talking about the flight,
Israel was the one who didn't want that to happen.
You deny the flight of Middle Eastern Jews. No, you deny the flight. You deny the trauma of Middle Eastern Jews.
Flight, Ethan.
You absolutely deny the trauma. No, you deny that they left by... You try to say that they left by choice. That is a gross historical inaccuracy.
Jews that left by choice. That is true.
Yes, some did. Of the 900,000, the vast majority left because they were afraid.
Ethan,
because they were being discriminated against. That is a historical fact. Six-Day War aftermath.
Listen to a clip of me talking about this?
What?
Oh my God! You have no idea what my perspective on this is. You're just fucking yelling at nothing.
Well, what are you doing right now? What are you wasting time for, buddy?
This is the reason why you're repeating.
No, I have heard you talk about it time and time again.
I don't actually believe.
Bro, you are continually not acknowledging the trauma of Middle Eastern Jews. You characterize it like they left by... Yes, I've seen it.
Have you ever listened to anything that's not 30 seconds long?
Yes, bro.
From me?
That's so ironic that you're saying that as you misquote Avi Schleim, who said he fled because he was afraid and not because of Zion. Here's the clip. Here's the clip.
You're trying to get a gotcha
Here's the clip.
So you can fucking farm a clip. But everyone's still going to think you're a fucking loser, dude. I'm sorry. Just shut up and listen if you want to actually hear my perspective.
I'm shutting up and listening to you.
Okay, thank you.
For the Iraqi Jews. Because when anti-Semitism increases in the West, Israel sees that as a complementary tool to its Zionist project, Zionist ambition of bringing either all Jews to Israel, or at least make Jews in the Western world that are outside of Israel, Jews in diaspora, support Israel, because it gives additional credence to the argument. It gives additional credence to the argument that no Jew is ever safe if there is no Jewish state. That is the underpinning of the Zionist project in general.
Why did you not mention the anti-Semitism? You exclusively talk about Zionism being the reason for forcing them out. Why do you deny that they were expelled by force, the vast majority of them?
Ethan, if you think that that is the entirety of my perspective on this matter,
illuminate me.
You please need to stop talking and listen to the amount of times that I've talked about this. Okay?
Oh, just explain yourself.
I'm trying, but you keep
I just watched a clip of you being pretty dismissive about the flight. And by the way, you've done it this whole time. You say that Zionism was the main
about
force.
The aspect that this is beneficial to the Zionist project across the board, because Israel wants all Jews to be constantly fucking terrified in any other country that's not Israel, so that they can actually go and either support Israel if they're not in Israel, or just move to Israel. That is the entire point. That is what Jabotinsky wanted. That is what Herzl wanted, and that is precisely what Benjamin Netanyahu wants as well. So in terms of my explanation, or what I come across as dismissive, is precisely the role that Israel itself played in this process.
Which was
a mutually beneficial relationship that anti-Semitic pogroms did take place.
What you failed to acknowledge is that the Jews were forced to become Zionists, not by choice, but by necessity. Because the Arab countries turned on them after the war and forced them to go to the only state that they could go to.
Which is that it's a necessity for Israel to exist, which is what your position is, right?
No, it's not about what was allowed or not. The Arabs created 1 million Zionists because they're anti-Semitic after the war of 1948 and fucking the rise of Arab nationalism. Do you deny that?
You brought up Morocco.
Do you deny what I just said?
Wait, say it again.
Do you deny what I just said?
Say it again. I wasn't listening.
900,000 Jews, approximately 700 to 900,000, were forced to become Zionists, not by choice, but because they were forced out. The vast majority went to the fucking Arabs. The anti-Semitic Arabs.
There you go.
What? There you go. What? That's my point.
Damn, racist ass shit.
Are you okay?
My case.
Okay, well, I mean,
no, you're too fucking delusional to realize what kind of racist nonsense you're fucking chirping on.
That's unbelievable,
that was my entire point.
It's historic. I mean, it's historical. You don't know anything of what you're talking about. Avi Schleim, once again,
this is why he's a Zionist, guys.
You like to fuse him when it's convenient. He left not because they were Zionists. They left because they were afraid.
Arabs. What was Avi Schleim, by the way?
Yeah, he was an Arab Jew. They didn't see him that way. They kicked his ass out. I'm not saying fucking Arabs. There's a reason for it. There was a rise in Arab nationalism following the 1948 war. They blamed their own Jewish populace for what Israel did. That's anti-Semitism. They had nothing to do. Do you think the Iraqi Jews left their 2,000-year-old communities, left their businesses, left their houses because they wanted to go to Israel? Are you fucking mad?
Remember a while back I tweeted and you got really mad when I said that there's a double standard between Islamophobia and anti-Semitism?
There's absolutely a double standard, and you exhibit it,
and you're participating in it right now without even recognizing that you're doing so.
It's historical. I mean, I'm just telling you literally what happened.
Historical racism. All Arabs are not
responsible. They were racist. Do people never get racist? Do people never be? I'm explaining why. I'm not blaming anyone. I'm just explaining why. After the 1948 war, the rise of Arab nationalism created a lot of anti-Semitism, and that's why the vast majority of the Jews, the 900,000 of them, were forced to immigrate.
He doesn't understand. He doesn't get. He doesn't understand.
That's a historical fact.
Ethan, I'm sorry to say this, and I don't know if your audience gets this as well, but what you just said earlier is not an accurate reflection of history. It's just pure racism.
How do you know that?
You
How
are
do you know that it's
shifting
not
the
real?
blame over to the entirety
of Arabs. Absolutely was the blame of the Arabs.
Every single one of these Arab countries with
absolutely.
their own
Who else
version
kicked
of
them out?
Pan-Arabic nationalism,
They
half of
kicked
them
them
were
out.
already still controlled, by the way, by fucking European colonial powers like Vichy France.
That was literally just in
Moroccan
Tunisia.
expulsion program, and you're using that as a similarity between the planned expulsion of 750,000 Palestinians.
Yeah, I mean, the details are different, but you're denying. Like, once again,
it's like
you're still not disproving me. What did I say that is hilariously racist and wrong?
Anti-German racism.
Don't make an analogy. Tell me why I'm wrong.
Anti-German racism.
I don't need an analogy. I need facts from you. Why am I wrong?
It's as though you are pointing to anti-German racism happening during the fucking German conquest.
A fact. Tell me a fact, right, that proves that I'm wrong. that the vast majority of Jews fled because of
It's not what you're
anti-Semitism in the Arab
saying.
states.
It's
Oh,
not
really?
what you're
It's not.
saying.
So I didn't
that
say
take
anything
issue
wrong.
With. It's the
I didn't say anything wrong.
It's the
I didn't say anything wrong, but I'm
comparison.
racist.
It's the idea that all Arabs are fucking one-minded and not and have something to do with Palestinians in general. Yes, I never said that there wasn't any fucking anti-Jewish sentiment that also.
Were the vast majority of Jews, did they leave because of anti-Semitism or Zionism?
The vast majority of Jews, regardless of whether or not they left for anti-Semitism or Zionist purposes, is not comparable to the Nakba.
You're not answering.
It is not comparable to the Nakba.
I don't care. That's got nothing to do with what I'm talking about. I'm not comparing them. And then, by the way, they're both.
You made that comparison to
unique.
Say, to make it seem as though it was a much larger crime.
No, because
that
people
Jews
like
had to
you
withstand
ignore the trauma of the fact that
countries.
you want to tell that people in Israel to go back to where they came from. This is where they're from. They were forced to go to Israel.
They could right now. They could go tomorrow.
Really? The Iraqi Jews can go back to their home tomorrow. The Egyptian Jews can go back to their homes tomorrow.
Absolutely.
That is insane.
Bro.
Get out of your mind.
They absolutely
okay, how?
can.
Tell me how.
They
How do the
can.
Jews
they
go back to their...
And I understand why they wouldn't want to, because America fucking
No,
invaded
they want
Iraq.
to.
But yes,
why
they could.
would how?
What do you mean
how? Would they go back and reclaim their lost assets, their lost property?
There were literally different schemes designed at this...
And by the way, how did they become citizens?
At different points throughout this 76-year-long, drawn-out apartheid structure, there were numerous instances where, yes, there was a right to return offered to Jews and even restitution for the homes that they lost in the process. So yes, you're wrong. You simply don't know the facts. You are wrong.
You won't say what fact I'm getting wrong.
I just told you.
Did the vast majority of Jews immigrate to Israel following 1948 because of Zionism or because of anti-Semitism?
No. Don't run away from this point.
Answer the fucking question.
I don't discount anti-Semitism as a
but
direct
answer the
consequence
question.
of pan-Arabic nationalism that took place in numerous countries. I have
Answer the question.
with your comparison. Okay?
Who's comparing? You keep saying that. I'm not talking about the Nakba. I'm talking about your
deliberately
unwillingness to recognize Jewish plight.
You brought that up deliberately to say more Jews were displaced than Palestinians were.
I think that's an interesting fact that you clearly don't fucking ever want to mention because it really messes up your beautiful little narrative.
So why did you bring that fact up right after you talked about the 1948
Oh shit.
Because the point is that two people were traumatized.
I think that comparison's disgusting.
There was two people that were traumatized. There was two people that were displaced unfairly. It was the Palestinians and it was the Middle Eastern Jews. They both have trauma. You failed to acknowledge one group. You shit on the other one. Unlike you, acknowledge both groups. I acknowledge both groups. You acknowledge one. What?
That's what you're doing. And you're also attributing.
How? How am I doing that?
You're attributing anti-Semitic violence in different countries to.
At the same time, following 1948, pan-Arab nationalism. You said that yourself.
Yes.
These 5 Arab countries were defeated in 1948, and they turned super fucking anti-Semitic as a result. They became ultra-nationalist Arabs. It became popular. As Israel declared independence, they said, "Fuck no, we don't want this country here." And yeah, they all became anti-Semitic. That's a historical fact that you
failed
denied.
to recognize that Iraqi Jews have been allowed to return to Iraq, and there have been numerous instances where Jews were given an opportunity to return.
How many Jews live in Iraq?
But you don't want.
How many Jews live in Iraq?
What?
How many Jewish people?
Right now, but they can.
How many Jews live in the Middle East outside of Israel?
Why do you think
virtually none? Where would they go if it was so fucking great for them?
Why would Iraqi Jews not want to go to Iraq? You think right now?
Zero Jews, virtually zero Jews live outside of Israel in the Middle
East.
Why is that? You don't think that none of them wanted to fucking stay at home?
I don't know. Maybe because there was a religious ethno-supremacist state that was backed by a lot of Western states as a direct destabilizer in the fucking region with mass migration happening, especially, of course, mass migration happening, and then in the aftermath of the Holocaust with a shit ton more refugees coming in, was a much more viable state for them.
Here's the problem.
Viability of said state, of course, is partially a consequence of the other countries and the hostility that people felt towards Jewish people.
You don't want to blame the Arabs.
This in and of itself, is the heart of the problem, because people conflate Zionism with Judaism, and you do that.
That's what the Arabs did when they kicked them all out.
I know, and I don't think it's appropriate. That's
and so
my
why
point.
are you blaming the Zionists and not the fucking Arabs for being racist? Why do you deny the Jewish trauma?
Arabs.
Why do you deny the 900,000 traumatized Jews that were forced? Including, by the way, what you keep ignoring, Avi Schleim.
Quick question.
Avi Schleim said we didn't leave Iraq because we were Zionists. We left because we were afraid. Are you hearing that?
Ethan, do you blame the English for the Holocaust?
No.
Who did the Holocaust, Ethan?
Just fucking make your point. I'm not playing this
Come on,
silly
who
game.
did the Holocaust? Just say it.
Make your point, dude. I'm not a fucking...
Why not? I'm asking you a question. It's a super simple question.
Avi Schleim said we left Iraq because...
Who did the Holocaust?
Was responsible for the Holocaust?
Why would I answer such a stupid rhetorical question? Just make your point.
Wait, you know the answer to this, right? Like, come on, what are you looking at on your fucking computer? Like, which country is responsible for the Holocaust?
Does he not know?
Anytime you want to make your point.
Does he not know?
I would appreciate.
Wait, what is happening?
Does he not know?
Dude, when you already okay.
Does he not know about Germany?
I would appreciate if you would just listen to one thing I would say.
It wasn't the English, right? It's not the responsibility of the British that the Holocaust happened, right? You understand that? You recognize that, right?
Well, I would say the nation most directly guilty for the Holocaust was probably Nazi Germany.
Okay. Did you just read that from your laptop?
No, I'm eloquent, unlike your dumbass.
I mean, yes, it is. Okay?
What
Notice
a dumb
how
fuck, bro.
you don't actually
I'm fabulous,
put every
bitch.
single fucking country. There was plenty of anti-Semitism in England, too. Notice how you don't fucking say all Europe. All of Europe is responsible for the Holocaust.
Was there concentration camps in the UK?
All Arabs?
Okay.
The point is...
Okay. There's no Jews in the Middle East. None. Can you listen to one thing? I have one thing important to say that I really want you just to listen to, okay? Avi Schleim said they did not leave Iraq because they were Zionists. They left because they were afraid.
Talk to Avi.
Yes.
You are denying his family's trauma.
Oh
you are blaming his family's trauma on Zionists.
Will you talk to him about this?
Sure. I mean, he's going to agree with me. I read it from his fucking book.
If you're so confident in all of this, okay, that would be great. All right. Perfect. Okay.
So listen.
No, you should. You should talk to him.
I'll debate all these people instead of you. I have time. Unfortunately, like I said, it's getting late, so I just want to make one last point before we go, which is that always remember, Hasan, that when people criticize me, I watch it on my stream by myself live, unlike a bitch-made coward like yourself, who needs someone to hold your hand, make all the excuses in the world to avoid any single criticism, any response. You, my friend, are a coward, and I am the fucking legend. It responded to it live with zero fucking...
What a dumb fuck.
With zero hesitation. But you know why? Because I'm not a liar. I don't have to think about the shit that I say and justify it. You lied. That's why you can't do it, because you'll get caught in those lies.
5-hour endeavor made you look good, then congratulations. Okay.
You don't think it was good that you don't think that it was a supreme confidence that I responded to it immediately?
No, you look like a dickhead.
It took you 4 months to actually entertain the notion of having a conversation with me. I don't give a fuck about watching YouTube videos. I don't know why you think that I'm afraid of watching your fucking
You watch 11 hate
YouTube
videos on your channel. 11 hate videos. I've watched 0 about you, Hasan. Do you want to actually discuss who's the coward?
Videos, dumbass! Your fucking community is the hate community. Why the fuck would you have to watch hate videos or whatever? You are the one who was doing it.
Just remember, when criticism comes, I confront it.
Well, thank you for backtracking
when
on
criticism
at least 7
comes
of the points.
to you,
Maybe we should
you
go
hide
through the
from
context puke one more time so we can continue.
If you want to watch
this conversation later, okay?
If you want, listen.
I'll hold
if
your
you want
hand
to
through
watch
all the other dumb shit that you said in it. It's not because I'm afraid. It's because you were crying because you.
No, it is definitely because you're afraid. Why is it you didn't pull? Why is it you love Ban Up and On It, but when he makes a video criticizing you, you say I'm not watching that?
Because I think it's. You want to know why? Because I think it's fucking unproductive to literally...
To watch criticism of me, you fucking coward?
Yeah, because
what are you saying?
Fucking presenting yourself and developing an audience that is literally, without even realizing it, because they are only drama obsessed, without realizing it, they're literally positioning themselves to be pro-Israel, to repeat pro-Israel talking points. Yes, that is the only reason why I started talking about you. Because you went on a fucking deplatforming campaign.
Why did you not watch Bad Empanada's video about you? You watched all of it?
You did 110 Instagram stories on me, Ethan.
You're
since January 31st, 2025.
You're obsessed. Obsessed.
It was so
24
unhinged
hours.
that you didn't even recognize who you have
You need
become.
to at least admit that it's reciprocal. I am not upset. You made 24 hours of nonstop content,
Ethan,
bro.
You
24 hours
in
the last 2
Reciprocal.
months.
on your own personal Instagram
We've talked about each other equally as much, bro.
January 31st,
This whole
2025, 110 stories. It was so insane, you didn't believe it. You don't
even
even
if
believe
that's-
your own mania.
Hassan,
Yeah.
Please,
Hassan,
for the
20
love of God.
Hasan, you talked about me 24 minutes a day, every day, 7 days a week for 60 days.
Yes,
Does that
after
sound
you,
fucking
after
reasonable?
you presented yourself as a fucking significant force trying to literally deplatform pro-Palestinian voices.
How much time do you think
That's
it makes an
why.
Instagram story?
That's why. And that's you literally, your own.
Why didn't you watch a Bad Empanada video about yourself?
Your own producers were begging you to stop talking about me, so much so that you had to set up a separate war room where you only talked about me.
What?
And that's what happened, right? Because you couldn't shut up about it. Your fans were fucking going, Ethan, we get it. He sucks.
My fans
Please
are
stop talking
fine,
about
bro.
it."
Don't worry
And
about my fans.
The entire time you frame this as though it's petty fucking drama.
It's
as
not
though
petty drama. You are deeply
even though it is
anti-Semitic,
a
hateful,
real
fucking
issue that
propagandist
took
liar.
place. And it only took you now to fucking openly say, 10 toes down, that it is a genocide, but also you don't want anyone to fucking resist
I've said that
against
consistently for years, liar.
it. Ethan, you don't want anyone to resist against genocide. It is a fucking untenable position.
Oh, you
It
mean
makes
kidnapping
no
civilians?
sense.
You're so pathetic, bro.
And you
Please.
constantly keep smearing me as a fucking anti-Semite
Th-
at a time
you're
when the
proving that
Trump
today.
administration,
Today-
is black-bagging people. How
Yeah,
do you
that's
not
bad
understand
happening.
that-
Don't call me out.
How do you
That's
not
bad happening. Don't call me out. That's what you're doing.
Dude, how do you not understand
Why didn't you watch the Bad Empanada
that
video?
You are playing a formative role when you don't talk about Mahmoud Khalil. You're
Just
playing
remember,
a formative
everybody
role
watching.
when you don't talk about the mass starvation of Gazans.
By the way,
You
I
are not-
advocated for Kamala to get elected. What'd you do? I told people to vote for
He
Kamala.
went to the
What'd you do?
DNC. He talked at the DNC.
seriously.
Oh,
What'd you
Ethan,
do?
congratulations. Congratulations
Kamala
for
and Trump
advocating
would
for
have been
Kamala.
equally
I won't
bad?
change anything from Joe Biden's policies, Harris.
It's
What
not
did
Joe
I do?
Biden, it's
well,
Kamala
not only did I
Harris.
go to the DNC, but I actually
not-
offered some pretty fucking valuable criticism to the Democratic
got
Party that they
kicked out,
didn't
by the
listen
way.
to, unfortunately.
Didn't they
And
kick you
because
out
they
of the
didn't listen to that
DNC?
valuable criticism, they lost. Why have you lied about me voting for Jill Stein, by the way? Can we talk about that?
Who did
Why
you-
the fuck
I don't
do
know.
you
Who'd
keep
you-
saying I voted for Jill Stein? I have
Who did you vote for?
countless hours shitting on Jill Stein. I've told people
said I
not
think
to
you
vote for
did.
Trump. I've said that
I
Donald
said-
Trump is significantly worse than Kamala Harris. And I've also, on top of that, called Jill Stein a grifter
Yeah, you
over
didn't
and
endorse
over and
her.
over again. But for some weird reason, despite the fact that I voted live,
lying.
mind you kept
And you
lying
didn't
to
say
your
who
audience,
for.
and you kept lying to your audience, and you
I
kept
said I
making it
think.
seem as though I didn't even fucking vote, or I urged people not to vote. There's never been a moment
Who'd
where
you
I
vote
said, do
for?
not vote.
Who did you vote for?
I voted for Kamala Harris. You got a problem?
No, I got no problem, but I think there's
you
people
don't
in your
have a
audience that
problem.
would.
You don't have a problem with that.
Why didn't you
the
endorse
fuck
her
do you
then?
keep saying I voted for Jill Stein, huh?
I said I think because you didn't
you
say who you
think.
voted for.
Oh, you
Oh,
think.
you
Yeah, that's what I said.
think.
It's an
Oh.
opinion.
Think. Oh, you don't give a fuck, dude. It doesn't matter who I vote for anyway. You're out of your fucking mind. I did not endorse Kamala Harris,
Why didn't-
and I will never endorse Kamala Harris.
But you
and I
voted
did
for
not
her.
endorse Joe Biden.
Yeah, I
And now
voted for her
Trump's
too.
You wanna know
president.
why? Because you want to know why?
Trump's
Because it's
building the
fucking
Riviera
embarrassing
in Gaza
that
Strip,
they
and guess
did-
what? You're fucking love that shit because you get to keep making content about it, and you get to keep making videos, and you guarantee there will never be peace there.
Yeah,
because
yeah,
you
yeah.
won't
As opposed
acknowledge
to
the
you.
trauma of both
As oppo-
sides.
As
Two
opposed to
things
you,
must
Ethan,
always
how
be
much
true,
content have you
Hasan.
made about Donald Trump? How much content
How's-
have you made about fucking Donald Trump? You literally defended his terrorist regime. What the fuck are you talking about? And then you have to
God,
apologize
again, bro.
because you're an
The thing is
embarrassing
you can't-
figure.
you
Okay?
can't
Embarrassment.
Listen to me.
Embarrassment.
Listen to me.
You
It
can't
is
fathom that
embarrassing that
somebody
you have
says
tried to make a
something wrong
foray
and
into
come back
politics,
and corrects
and
it.
all of the producers or all the people that are giving you fucking talking points is not going to make
I
you
didn't
come
defend the
across as
terrorists.
smart in this process. Please, for
Hasan,
your own
there's-
mental sanity, stop trying to do this. You are basically brain breaking a shit ton of people into idiotic positions. You clearly don't care about people who have actually voted for Donald Trump, considering your allegiance with people who have literally directly voted for Donald Trump.
Who's
okay?
my allegiance? Who's my allegiance?
What do you
to?
mean? You have fucking Trump supporters that you're friends with. Like Steiny in general. When I have a conversation with him, I'm actually directly fucking addressing some of the shit that he's saying, like the Nelk boys and whatnot.
That our entire conversation was me arguing with him and telling him why Trump's bad and why transphobia is bad. You are.
You're going out, you're playing poker with people who fucking voted for Donald Trump. You're defending Asmongold and saying Asmongold is not actually Trump coded. Okay? You're doing all this because they don't. Asmongold has been a valuable figure shitting on me this entire time, and that's the only reason why you act like he's not significant. That's it. You will take help from anyone and everyone, no matter what their background is. You claim to care. You claim to care about rape, and you're hyping up a dude who has a segment on a show called Ultimate Rape Review. The reason why you're hyping up that dude is because you don't give a fuck. All you care about is petty drama.
You don't give a fuck.
Only content. Stop doing petty drama content. Shut the fuck up about politics and get back to goofs and gaffs, and it will be fine. People will forget that you have behaved in this way, but you don't want to do that. It's become a fucking personal agenda for you that people don't like you. It must be anti-Semitism. No, they don't like you because you don't know what the fuck you're talking about, and you have to be babied by goddamn producers as a 40-year-old adult. That's the reason why people don't like it.
Damn!
Very good. Now, why don't you watch Bad Empanadas videos about you?
Because he's pro-Palestine, and I don't give a fuck about. Because he
was criticizing you.
And I don't
you're
care
such
about
a coward, Hasan. It's unbelievable. All right, very good. I'm out of my depth. I shouldn't talk about.
And if you were pro-Palestine, I would never talk about you either. That's the real reason.
Uh-oh. Can you please contend with the Avi Schleim quote that they left not because of Zionism, but because of they were afraid?
Dude, come on. Enough. You have Avi Schleim on the show. Talk to him about it, okay? Maybe it'll go down exactly like you thought with Sam Cedar.
Hey!
Sam Cedar. I think if anything, Sam kind of embarrassed himself. I genuinely do. I hate to say it because I like Sam.
40-year-old man
but like he
button when he has like a little oops.
Did I button?
Is
Did I
actually
button?
the one who's talking about Sam Cedar embarrassing himself.
Did I button during that debate?
He lowered himself to talk to you man to man and try to.
That's what you wanted. That's what you asked for. Why would you want to lower his status?
I wanted that conversation.
Why did you lower his status?
Be convinced. I didn't realize you were this fucking drama obsessed. You thought
drama obsessed. We had an argument about fucking South Africa apartheid. What's drama about that?
What?
You're fucking dude. Listen,
hear what you
enjoy.
Said. What did you say?
It doesn't matter. Just remember, when it comes to criticism, I watch it. You ignore it. It's so important.
It's actually peaceful because you're gonna clip chimp the fucking shit that Loner Box told you, and then you're
why
gonna
was
say
it what?
The violent things that. The violent things that the ANC did were in the Truth and Reconciliation Committee attributed to.
Hasan, how many civilians died in the 20 years in the ANC during the ANC's?
It was like 200, I think, or
less than 100. How many people did Hamas kill on one day? Nelson Mandela, which I'll read you a quote from his trial. I'll read you a quote.
Are you comparing the apartheid structure in South Africa to 76 years of colonial occupation?
Don't you do that all the time?
No, the number is
you call it apartheid all the time.
And the militancy has gotten far more radical as a direct consequence of Israel becoming far more radical. Because as I told you, and you seemingly understood when we first had this conversation after October 7, that the maintenance of an apartheid is an inherently violent endeavor. And as a matter of fact, the resistance to said apartheid is only going to get worse and worse as time
radical.
moves on. This is precisely the reason why the first intifada was fought with stones, little children throwing rocks, and the second intifada in the aftermath of horrific acts of terror against Palestinians who were at a mosque praying. The second intifada, as a matter of fact, was fought with bombs.
Historical quote. I'm not just grandstanding. Mandela, from his trial in 1960, said, and I quote, "There were 4 forms of violence that were possible. One was sabotage, one was guerrilla warfare, one was terrorism, and then there was open revolution. We chose to adopt the first method as it exhausted it before taking any other decision. In light of our political background, the choice was a logical one. Sabotage did not involve loss of life, and it offered the best hope for future race relations. Bitterness would be kept minimum, and if a policy bore fruit, democratic government could become a reality. this is what we felt at the time, and this is what we said in our manifesto.
Keep going.
We have always sought to achieve liberation without bloodshed and civil clash. We hope, even at this late hour, that our first actions will awaken everyone to the realization that the disastrous situation which the nationalist policy is leading. We hope that we will bring the government and its supporters to their senses before it's too late, so that both the government and its policies can be changed before matters reach the desperate state of war.
Ha!
Notice how the end part of that is getting ready for rebellion. I feel like given the...
Did they?
Yeah, because the apartheid structure dissolved as a direct consequence of pressure campaigns
from outside.
And also militancy, which Nelson Mandela not once but twice was presented
what's
with
Hamas
the
doing
option
for
of having
liberation?
a sentence commuted, which he refused to do. They said, Nelson Mandela, if you disavow violence...
On principle. He said, I will not remain in jail because a prisoner can't negotiate. A prisoner can't decide.
That was the first time.
He said both times. He refused on principle. Less than 100 people died during the 20-year period. Anyone that attacked civilians, they were disavowed. The ANC repeatedly apologized and disavowed violence against civilians.
When did they do that?
Less than 100 civilians died.
When did they do that?
Hamas killed 1,000 civilians on one fucking day.
No, 1,000 civilians? The poor civilian Israeli soldiers that died in their military bases. The civilians.
There was like, bro, you're so dumb.
What do you mean I'm so dumb? These numbers matter.
Okay, how many civilians died? How many civilians died?
I believe the total number of casualties in October 7 was 1,200, with 800 being civilians, which is completely unacceptable, mind you, and 400 being military members.
I was off by 100.
The numbers matter.
Dude, I can't believe the historical inaccuracies.
You just made a big. You're the one who's bringing up numbers here, Ethan. And yes, I do think it's important to recognize something here that you are seemingly failing to recognize. Nelson Mandela was thrown in prison because he went and trained with the FLN in Algeria. The reason why he stayed in fucking prison was because he refused to disavow violence, because he understood that as long as peaceful revolution is impossible, that violent revolution is inevitable. And violent revolution they did do.
You know what's funny?
In terms of the death and destruction on the apartheid structure, by the way, it is incomprehensible to compare that to Israel's violence against the Palestinians. What Israel has done to the Palestinians is far worse. And by the way, that's not my assessment. What Israel has done to the Palestinians for the past 76 years,
a colonial massacre,
infinitely worse. And that is not my assessment, by the way. That is the assessment of Mandela, and for all the the moments that he was able to fucking see.
You think Mandela said what's happening is worse than what we went through? That's bullshit. Why would he say that?
Why would he say that? Because it's true, Ethan. That's why.
Is Nelson Mandela a Zionist?
No.
Yes, Nelson Mandela. Are you going to say in 1999 he said Israel has a legal right to exist? In that same speech that you're going to fucking clip him.
Remember that you called this guy a neo-Nazi, not fit to be a dog catcher.
Who?
That's what you said about Nelson Mandela.
What are you talking about? Whoa. You're jumping off like a million different points. What?
The right of Israel to exist as a state legally.
Yeah, it doesn't have the right to do a genocide, though.
We have stood quite openly and firmly for the right of that state to exist within secured borders.
You disagree with that statement?
Does Israel has a right to exist? Not in the way that it currently does.
Within secure borders.
Hold on.
Coward.
Do you know what he says after that clip?
Yeah, that he also thinks that Palestinians also need to be acknowledged, which, by the way, is my fucking point.
No, not that.
Palestinian liberation and Israeli borders are two sides of the same coin.
He didn't just say Palestinians also need to be acknowledged.
What did he say?
He says that if peaceful means of coexistence is impossible, then violence is inevitable.
Yup.
Why did you clip that out of the fucking clip chimp that you posted, Ethan?
You saying I clip chimp Nelson Mandela?
Yes, you literally did. You cut him out of context because it doesn't suit your fucking purpose.
What do you mean? He's talking philosophically. He's talking philosophically.
We're having a conversation about Nelson Mandela and whether or not he actually believes in violence. Whether or not he actually believes in violence. You have said time and time again that he was a peaceful dove. He's never actually done any violence whatsoever.
I literally didn't.
There are numerous instances There are numerous instances on
Inevitability, a philosophical warning, is not an endorsement. He was speaking as a warning to them, which was apt.
Brother, that is insane.
What?
Nelson Mandela was literally on a terror watch list since 2008.
Who gives a fuck?
What do you mean who gives a fuck? You like to use the terrorism watch list when you're talking about the Houthis, or you like to use the terrorist watch list when you talk about Hezbollah and Hamas.
I mean, I gave you specific examples of why those organizations are bad.
Who do you think that was
I don't...
Who do you think the philosophical point that he was making, the guy who was in prison for violent resistance, by the way, who trained militancy,
violent resistance? You mean sabotage?
For rebellion,
sabotage.
by the way. Who
Sabotaging
do you think that was a warning
infrastructure.
to? Do you think that was a warning to Palestinians, or do you think that was a warning to
Israel?
The fact that you are so
Nelson
willing...
Mandela has time and time again also repeated that no one is free until Palestine is free. That same Nelson Mandela that you're trying to fucking use in this situation.
You're trying to whitewash him.
That this is a united struggle. That Israel's actions against the Palestinians are abhorrent, that it is akin to what they have experienced in apartheid South Africa, if not worse. So the idea that you can make this comparison because you think
I want Palestine to be free, my friend.
is so stupid. The only way you can do that is by cutting it out of context.
No, I just explained why. Dude, I want Palestine to be free, but you know what? I don't think Hamas is furthering that goal. I think Hamas is counterproductive. They're making it worse. They're causing it to be inevitable. You refuse to criticize them, which is pathetic.
Why are they
Unlike
making it
me,
worse, Ethan?
I'm willing to
Why are they making it
criticize the
worse?
Israeli
Why are they
government.
making
I'm
it
willing to
worse?
come to terms with the cruel reality.
Why?
Hamas.
Why?
Why are they making it worse?
Because they're fighting back.
Well, what was the fucking objective there on October 7th, genius?
Kidnapping, which by the way I don't even agree with, which is an international human rights violation. But kidnapping Israeli soldiers, Israeli civilians to draw out.
And what part about that was slaughtering fucking families in their homes?
To draw out
I
concessions.
don't agree
Their goal was
with
to
the
kill
tactics.
civilians.
You know this already. We're not relitigating this over and over again after
I'm just saying,
17
Hamas
years,
is a bunch of
17 months fucking genocide.
All right.
Okay. What do you think? What do you think?
One day you're gonna watch a video response I make.
Probably not. When you apologize for all the fucking harm that you've done.
Apologize? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Listen.
I have the rest of the clip that you clipped, Chip, by the way, if you want to hear his actual fucking full-fleshed opinions.
I'm not hiding from it. I literally acknowledge what he said. I don't care.
But so why did you say that he was actually? Why did you say that he was
The point
actually
I was making.
A peaceful resistance type of guy?
When did I say that? When the fuck did I say that, you liar?
You said it on numerous occasions, as opposed to
Lie.
you said that on numerous occasions before
I
someone
said
told
he
you.
used
No, actually,
violent.
here's a better way to massage that.
You are
narrative.
a liar. I said he uses violent means such as sabotage. He didn't kill
Ethan,
civilians. That's what I said.
Will you stop talking if I show you numerous instances where you have said Nelson Mandela was peaceful?
I'm not gonna. You get those together, okay?
I mean, there's.
You're
you
gonna
said he
do
was a
great.
pacifist.
You're gonna do great.
Ethan,
Yeah,
you
go ahead and
literally
grab
said he
those.
was a pacifist to Sam
I
Cedar.
never said Nelson Mandela was a pacifist.
Ethan, you said it
that
to
is an insane lie.
You said it to Sam Cedar 2 days ago.
So you got to watch that back because you're once again a liar. You have no problem lying. You have no problem saying that I work with the ADL without any evidence.
Ethan,
you fucking have no
you've
problem
said on
discrediting
numerous
the suffering
occasions
of
that
Jewish
Nelson Mandela
refugees.
Is a pacifist.
Ethan's a dumb fuck.
Okay,
bro.
well, prove
And
it.
the full quote, by the way, of Nelson Mandela is from when he visited Gaza in 1999.
When did I call him a
that I was referring to.
pacifist?
Choose
That's
peace rather
insane.
than confrontation, except in cases where we cannot move forward. Then, if the only alternative is violence, we will use violence.
Yeah.
Does that sound like a pacifist to you?
I meant that he didn't kill civilians.
Do you think Nelson
His
Mandela
approach
would fuck
is
with the
vastly
Houthis?
different than what Hamas
Do you
is
think
doing.
Nelson Mandela would like what the Houthis are doing?
Yes.
I don't know. Let's fucking dig him out of his grave and ask him.
That's kind of weird because, I mean, you said he was doing peaceful means of resistance.
Do I
like
think
sabotage.
Nelson Mandela would be in favor of kidnapping 10 civilians? No,
Yes,
of course
he would.
not.
100% he would.
All right, well, while you're busy putting words in a dead man's
100% he
mouth.
would. What are you talking about? Nelson Mandela bombed the fucking church and shit. What are you talking about? Not Nelson Mandela directly.
He
was in prison,
didn't fuck with civilians, bro. That was his thing. He wanted to be as peaceful as possible because he knew that if he killed and targeted civilians, it would make reunification
you're right.
impossible.
Israel's doing
That's
a
a
genocide because
historical
Palestinians are not
fact.
resisting in the
Less than
appropriate
100
ways.
civilians died in 20-year period. I mean, what do you want more than that? Hamas killed 1,000 or 900. So sorry.
800. But also,
I am so sorry. 800. You're right. You know what? That's better.
It's seemingly important. You're the one
That's
who's bringing up
better.
numbers. Now, what you again fail to recognize is, of course, the length, and not only that, but also the resistance against apartheid South Africa included military resistance on top of that. But that's not even my point here, okay?
Huh?
My point is that the apartheid in South Africa and the resistance against it was a far shorter period with far less casualties on the South African side as opposed to Israel's complete ethnic cleansing campaign that is has started now, but even before its ethnic cleansing campaign.
Well, then don't compare Hamas to Nelson Mandela.
Because the situation is far worse, Ethan. Because Israel has killed every Nelson Mandela. Israel would have probably killed Nelson Mandela if they had the opportunity to do so.
I'm sure, and they would have done everything bad that's ever happened in the world.
Wait.
Oh my God.
I said that?
Because they tried, probably.
They probably. No, don't look at your laptop. Do you know why I said that?
I'm not. Let me guess. You. I don't. Oh, tell me.
No. Go ahead. Just throw up a guess.
All right. Listen. It's 5 o'clock. I'm not doing this.
Oh,
okay?
You don't want to do this.
You can tell me or you cannot. You want to? I'll stand here if you want to tell me, but I'm not going to sit here and play rhetorical games.
Israel was aligned with South Africa, the apartheid government, as a matter of
fact.
Yeah,
I had nuclear bombs with them. It's horrible.
Yeah, it's horrible.
What's that have to do with anything?
Yeah.
Fuckhead. When did I defend
they're
that?
both apartheids. So.
Yeah, and when did I deny that? All right, listen, it's 5 o'clock. Like I said, I have a family to go to. I have 3 kids and a wife, and I know that you have a fucking cool-ass race car bed to sleep in, and I hope you enjoy it.
Oh, my God. Why does he keep saying that?
Man. Thank you. Have a good one. I hope this was productive. Dan, he needs you more than you need him. Stop babying this man, please. He needs you more than you need him. Stop babying him.
Well, I know that's true, but I don't baby him.
Come on. Okay. All right.
You want to target the crew more?
I'm not targeting the crew. These are my coworkers. I have a tremendous amount of respect for the crew. They are what makes
Bad
this show
Empanada
great.
called AB a house slave.
What?
Bad Empanada called AB a house
he's
slave.
Wrong. What the fuck do you want? I've never said
Okay, well,
that.
you watch his videos a lot.
Bad Empanada. Do you think I agree with everything he says? No, of course not.
You endorse him.
Ethan, I've endorsed
all right, we gotta go.
YouTube
you promote him all the time. It's a fact.
I agree with that. I think are very well thought out. I don't endorse.
All right, listen. Stop being a coward and watch some fair criticism. Please stop being a coward and just watch some criticism.
Oh my God!
Prove that you are not afraid.
This was pretty productive. You know, having this conversation, having this back and forth. Don't you think?
I actually do. I think you exposed yourself deeply a few times here, and I think we'll have to wait and see, obviously, how this pans out. But I do think it was productive to show just kind of the blatant, overt, anti-Semitism that you.
Maybe I will watch the context puke.
Yes, please, and then we can talk about it if you want.
Live, as a matter of fact.
Yes, please do.
Way. I like that. This is what it's come to, where having a face-to-face conversation is less. Is somehow
it's not
less fucking is more cowardly than like actually watching a YouTube video that you made. No, dude.
It is because
what's cowardly is you fucking constantly crying and refusing to actually look for context and putting together shit that you saw on fucking subreddits to be like, this is my argument. I'm
just watch it and watch it and tear it up and show how out of context it was. I love that.
Maybe I'll actually do that to fundraise for the charities that you are actively targeting by trying to undermine and celebrate with Creator Clash 3, which is,
I don't know if you know this, but the last year they lost $250,000. To be charitable, you actually have to give money to charity, Hasan.
Everybody that has even lightly fucking criticized you or stayed out of.
Are you surprised that I didn't like Ian's video?
What? No, dude.
Dude, if you want to own me, listen, Hasan. If you want to own me by donating to charity, I think that's fantastic.
What an asshole!
Is actually like you're trying to undermine a charity event deliberately.
You have to give money to be charity. Whoa. It's like a slush fund for them.
God, that's so gross, man. Okay.
I mean, what happened last year? How much money did they make? Did they do charity last year?
I don't know.
They lost $250,000.
Will you debate me again, Ethan? If you keep chirping in the future?
Yeah, of course.
Okay,
but if you, I think it would be good if you watch the content puke.
Maybe I will. Maybe I'll do that.
And then we can discuss it.
Maybe I'll do that. The fundraise
recruiter
clash.
Do it.
Yes, I think it's awesome. If
do
you want
it
by donating to charity, I think that's sick as fuck.
Do it.
Maybe you should do that too. You know, donate some pro-Palestinian charities. I'll feel so fucking owned.
Let's own each other and donate to charity.
All right.
Do it. Let's do it.
I know,
Hey.
I know you guys hate each other, but the views were crazy.
It was? How many? I never
just
looked.
saying, think about it.
What was the views at? I never looked.
They're pretty good on both ends, like 100K.
Whose was higher?
Don't ask that question.
Hasan's was higher?
Hasan's was higher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not by much, but it was higher.
That's not good. We
I
got.
mean, I had 120,000. I don't know what you guys had over there. I wasn't looking, but.
We got up to about 100K. So.
Well, we're gonna have to do some. These people are clearly have some kind of brain disease, and we need to do something about it.
Mm-hmm. No, for sure. Ethan, please keep up the energy as though you feel that there is a genocide going on, because your output is what matters here. And that is what I was trying to get across to you and get across to your audience. If you think that this...
I acknowledge that I acknowledge that I could talk about it more, and I should
Yeah,
make more
yeah,
effort to
yeah.
talk about
Okay,
it.
thank
That's
you.
good.
Instead of going after pro-Palestinian
And you should try not to be a
because they
fucking raging
don't like you.
anti-Semite for a day.
What?
If you can try not to be a raging anti-Semite for a day, then we can
Ethan,
shake
I don't
hands.
think you actually believe that I'm anti-Semitic. I think you're hysterical.
You
I
should
will be
watch back the
honest on
first
that
part of
front.
this interview.
What?
You should watch back the first part of this interview.
I don't think that makes you look good.
Ah!
Well, I guess we'll wait and see.
Get fucked.
Yeah, we'll wait.
Unfortunately, I think your people are going to think it makes you look good, and then everybody else is going to think that might look good. Like, who gives a fuck?
Yes,
At the end of the day,
I'm sure that
it's not a swastika. It's just the swastika sword. It's not a swastika. It's just the sword that I called the swastika sword. Got it. All right, have a good night, Hasan.
All right, you too.
I gotta go.
You
All right,
too, buddy.
You take care, bud.
All right.
Old friend.
Aw.
God damn, what a fucking exercise in futility. I did lose my shit a little bit towards the end. But hey, at least we got Ethan to openly admit that he thinks his wife is a terrorist. I don't know. How that's gonna work.
Oh my god.
This was the biggest pickup and shake of all time. Go pee, bro. You've held it in this whole time. Oh my god, I forgot I needed to pee before I started the fucking conversation. Isn't that crazy?
All right, y'all. That's it for me. I just wanted to watch that. Tomorrow we'll watch the whole thing. We just caught up on half of it.
It makes me so sad that he was more fixated
Bye-bye.
on the content aspect of this. It makes everything bullshit. Yeah, I know. I agree.